So I want to make sure that everybody can see the screen there. This is the intro, the kickoff to the summer, I want to minimize that. There we go. This is the summer series, summer talk series. And we're going to call it Bridging the Gap for right now.
Okay.
And you can see some great pictures there of some of our folks. And not everybody's included in all these pictures, and I apologize. There's just way too many people. So the history of Sugarbush, I just wanted to talk about a little bit for the younger people and even some of the older members who may not be really familiar what's going on. This is on our website, but it's really good stuff. Soaring started in the Mad River Valley in 1957. There was the people that you'll see mentioned quite a bit, John McCone and Alan Bemis, and they used the field down there, Route 100. It's still called Airport Road, and it's pretty inconceivable that that's actually an airport. Warren Ketchum, who was one of the visionary Old Time Valley residents, developed the current site in 1966. And I can tell you that very specifically, there's a bunch of interesting history with that. I'm not going to share it this evening. Warren then built a tower in 1967. This is a David Sellers building, and it doesn't look a whole lot like it did back then. In fact, all the stairs on the outside were on the outside of the building, and the area that you guys are sitting in their back wasn't there. There was a set of bleachers to watch the festivities, as Danny would say. The runway was paved in '68. There were some serious financial problems. That's a fairly common theme throughout the history of Sugarbush Soaring or the airport, or not maybe Sugarbush Soaring, but the airport. And Granite intersection was 1973 purchased the airport, and Granite still is the owner of the field, leases it each summer to Sugarbush Soaring, which acts as the FBO or the fixed-based operator providing services for everybody. And then it's Ole's in the winter, Ole's cross-country skiing area. Sugarbush Soaring is a major shareholder in the corporation, or is a major shareholder. In 1978 was a big year. Jim Parker acquired the big hangar, which was kind of halfway done. It had actually was bought in Maine. That large Quonset hangar was bought and trucked over under some really odd circumstances. When I hear some of the stories, it didn't even have a floor. Jim Parker Sr. is the one who poured the concrete floor in it and finished the building. And then Doug and Duncan, which are their names are in the old paperwork of Sugarbush Soaring, formed as a Vermont non-for-profit. Mindy set up a tow operation here, and there's still pictures around of the L-19 bird dogs. In fact, the tree that is just near the garage, just to the north of the building, was called the maintenance maple, because in the evening, the bird dog would be pulled up underneath a certain limb, and then a chain fall would pull off whatever parts that need to be replaced, engines or whatever, and another engine would be slapped on. And it was called the fix and fly operation back in those days. So you fixed it and then you flew it, and then you broke it, and then you fixed it and you flew it. That probably hasn't changed too much. Sugarbush Soaring has remained a strong organization. We ended up with 2 Pawnees, and here's some of the great pictures of the days. And I was just talking to some of the young guys the other day about in the upper left-hand corner is a contest, and it basically took up half the field to launch these gliders out of there. There's 3 tow planes, the 1-4 Lima and 8-4 Pop we see in the foreground, and the other one was from Stowe Soaring. It's to the left there. The lower left picture is the old Ketchum Field, and believe it or not, that picture is not bent by any means whatsoever. That field was bent. It was a one-way airport. The John McCone is on the left down there, and you can see that there was a truck camper. It's not quite the same as mine in the background. Then up in the upper right-hand corner, there was a contest here that the glider, that's Blueberry Lake, that's the island, not an advised rinse and wash method for your glider. And we see a nice picture of the old 126 there back in the days when things were different. And then, of course, the famous landing at the Sugarbush ski area by John McCone and that little Piper there. That's a picture. There was an article. You can look it up online. It happened. And things were a little bit different back in those days. So there's been a lot of change, as we all know, as we've lived through our lives in different ways. Soaring has changed. Not just Sugarbush soaring, but soaring across the country has really changed. The culture and the society that we live in has changed a lot. People do things differently. They play video games. They act in a lot of different ways than they did back in the 60s and the 70s and prior to that. Mad River Valley has changed. The Mindy talks a lot about how, I'm sorry, with somebody with the area code 978 is kind of cutting in and out. And I just want to let you know, maybe you could mute if that would be great. So the Mad River Valley has changed. Mindy Woodruff talks about back in the 70s coming across the Roxbury Gap, and there wasn't a single light in the valley, except for the Sugarbush Inn. One light in the entire valley. That's changed, as we all know, and will continue to change. Aviation in general has changed. General aviation, aviation technology, the cost, the insurance. Just between 2004 and 2017, the number of active pilots holding glider ratings fell from 30,000, just over 30,000 to 24,000. And in a small sport, how many of those people are active, right? How many people are actually engaged and active and flying? In 1980, there was 827,000 pilots in the country. It's dropped to 664,000 some odd by 2019. So the change has been in progress for a long time. A lot of people can blame, I mean, you can get a good argument, a pilot's bar, about all the reasons that aviation has changed: cost, insurance, society, all these things that we've been talking about. What I found, this is available on the website, and I know it's on the FAA website. I know it's difficult to read for some of you, but the important thing is this is the number of people who hold glider certificates in any combination, right? And so I'm thinking that David Tanzer, once he has his private pilot and a glider, the unique combination of being a CFIG and balloons and a private, well, you're a commercial pilot in power, there's probably going to be like two of you, quite honestly. So if we look at this in 2020, there's about 25,000 total people, and in 2011, 28,000. But if you look down here, let's see. Well, let's find balloon. That's not even. Yeah, there's balloon. 0. Commercial glider with a commercial balloon. There's 0 in the country. So David, if that doesn't motivate you to get finished on your rating, I don't know what. I would just love to see a 1 in that category and to know it's you. So it's in interesting numbers, but it's relevant. So talking about Sugarbush Soaring Association now, we had to respond to the changes. We had to change the days of the giant contests and the single place ships, and the large cross-country flying done by a large number of people. Those people, a lot of them aged out, moved on. And so we had to look at what we were doing, and we had to look at what we're doing that was successful and sustainable. One of the things that Rick Hansen and others have been responsible for a very high quality of instruction. Even when it was a club type operation, that it was more or less commercial, there were people still seeking instruction here from all over, and that still remains, and that has a lot to do with the high standards that were held here at the operation for years. Providing great flight experiences for customers, talking about the scenic rides, right? So the tours in the valley, at this point, we probably do about 400 or 500 a year. There was more back in the old days when people did more, when they went outside and they did more and they were engaged more. But we still provide amazing flight experiences for people here in the Valley. And we look forward to being able to do that again soon. Come sometime in July, we're going to be scheduling scenic rides again, and again on a very limited and very calm basis. But we look forward to being able to do that. Our other real strength has been our youth programs. Through FIFI, our Flight Experience for Youth, the nonprofit, the 501c3, supports the line crew program, which is an amazing program with a lot of amazing young people who have gone through the program to get their private pilot certificate, commercial, CFIG, gone on to college or out into the world to do their own thing and be very successful. The Youth Soaring Camp. The Youth Soaring Camps, the demand continues to outweigh our ability to fulfill the demand. In fact, this year, normally I get about 30 requests to fill about 8 slots. This year it was over 90. Youth Airport Day, where we invite a number of anywhere up to 20 young people onto the airport and give them free flight instruction day and give them exposure to the airport and a tour. And some of the club members assemble a glider, show them around the airport. We even do a barbecue. I think that's really important in our sense of community and giving back to the community, including people. It's also a great recruiting tool for the line crew program. The VTC, the Vermont Technical College, does an Aero Camp Day where they bring down a lot of young folks. We have gotten a number of line crew through that program, and we subsidize, or FIFI and Sugarbush Soaring help subsidize all of those kids getting flights. And that's a fantastic day. That's a heck of a lot of fun. FIFI also funds scholarships, different types of scholarships, not just for the Youth Soaring Camp, but for instance, if a young line crew member is very close to obtaining their private pilot certificate or rating, then FIFI steps in and helps make that possible, bridges that gap. They pay for the written test and the actual flight test, which can be quite expensive. That, you know, the flight test is around $400. The written test is $175 now, and my jaw just dropped and damaged my chest. We also have quite a few young professionals in our program right now. Going back to, you know, if I looked at the data real quickly tonight, we have about 28 members who are under the age of 21. From the age of 22 to 35 in the young professional program, we have, I believe it's 5, and I really think it might be closer to 6 or 7. I think I missed somebody. That comes from just about a very small number, and in fact, maybe none in the young professional age range before, and quite a few young people. The other thing about Flight Experience for Youth, they support the youth members by paying their dues, as well as a number of other costs. So what's the secret of who we are and where we're going and what we're doing and what we're accomplishing? It's our people. It really is a sense of having a group of people who, just an amazing group of people who volunteer their time or work very hard or bring their passion and their experience forward to Sugarbush Soaring, whether they're you know, I can name, if I start naming people, I'll start losing respect from everybody here, because I'll forget to name certain people. But if you look at the tireless work of the Sugarbush board, the executive members of the board, Granite Intersection, FIFI and FIFI board, and then all of our staff and our instructors and our volunteers and our members who just chip in. And that includes our young people. The young people maintained this airport last year during the pandemic. We were not able to have to be open, and we did not have the resources to maintain the airport, which includes mowing the grass. If we hadn't mowed the grass last year, we would have been in big trouble. I suggest that anybody who's curious go to our front webpage And there is a video there where you can put together by one of our young people where you can see what was accomplished last year. These people come from all different backgrounds. They're all different age ranges. I enjoy talking to everybody here, whether they're older or younger, because they all come from many different backgrounds with many different experiences. Just because a person is young doesn't mean they haven't had a fantastic experience. And just because a person is old doesn't mean they're a boomer. We have a shared passion here. We all love flying. We all love aviation, but that's kind of a given. But we actually learn from one another. I learn every day from young people. I learn every day from the older folks and everybody in between. Being in this environment challenges you, keeps your brain engaged, keeps you learning things, and listening to one another and engaging with each other. We can learn a lot from each other. We can network and develop that strong sense of community. And we look out for each other. I mean, we're a tribe. I know I've said that before, but we're basically a tribe. We are members of a larger tribe, but you can go anywhere in the world and go to an airport and start talking to a pilot, and you don't even have to speak their language. You're going to be sharing the same experiences and the same passion. So we do look out for each other here. And you know, all the people here that I know, the people that I have so much respect for, are all paying it forward in mentoring and bringing along a new generation of pilots, whether or not they're going to be recreational pilots or military pilots, or they're going to go on to the airlines. Doesn't matter, does it? The fact, or maybe they don't ever fly again. The fact is that paying it forward is a key component to what everyone involved with our association does. And so by getting to know each other, learning more about the experiences of others, forging those meaningful connections across generations, we can make Sugarbush Soaring stronger, and hence we can make each other stronger. So I'm just sharing some pictures from some of the events here or the days here. You know, one of the things that I love to see is I love to see young people and older people together and sharing those experiences and teaching and learning together. There's a picture of Dane and Alex Craig soloing after they soloed, getting their shirts cut out. So it's a lot of fun, and the people are what make this place great. The people are the strength, and that's Owen, believe it or not, in the lower right-hand corner there. He was, I think he was 9. He's now 16. Everybody just engaged with the operation. That in this corner down here with the 1 Foxtrot Lima is Tim with his old ship, and he's on an airport day. He's assembling his ship, and he didn't fly it. He assembled it to show the kids how a ship goes together, and then he took it apart and put it in the trailer. It wasn't a great day to fly, so he didn't fly. That's dedication. I don't think Tim has ever put his aircraft together and then took it apart without flying it. You know, not unless it's a maintenance event. And these are some pictures that reflect the diversity and the effort, the work, washing the tow plane, assembling gliders this year. And then the picture on the lower right was a line crew extravaganza in snow pellets and ice with RC airplanes that was pretty hilarious. So what's this summer series going to be? It has a goal of bringing us together, sharing the experience and the stories. The next one on June 23rd, Jen Stamp, you all know her. She's going to be sharing the stuff that she's been thinking about. What is our airport going to look like in 20 years? And what are the steps that we can make our operation more sustainable? She has been inspired by the Nova series, Great Electric Airplane Race. Got her really thinking about this stuff. We're already talking to people about some innovative ideas about how we can lead into the future by being environmentally sustainable here. On June 30th, Alex and Lockie, who are SSA members. Alex, you all know from, he's started here as a line crew at 13 years old. He's now a graduate of college. He has his flight instructor and gliders. He's instructing for us 1 day a week. And he will be, and he graduated college and he now works at Beta Technologies. And Lockie, who's a pilot up there and a SSA member, they're going to come down and talk about an amazing company, Vermont-based aerospace, electric aircraft manufacturer. They're doing some amazing stuff. It's worth taking a look at them on the web to see what they're doing. It's a really successful company, and young people leading the way into the future with the technology and their opportunity. On July 7th, we've twisted Tim Larson's arm. He's a pretty shy guy. He doesn't really talk about his accomplishments too much, but he has a story about obtaining his diamond badge in Tennessee on distance flight that would just blow your mind. Just how he did it. And he did it 2 days in a row because the logger missed one of the turn points and he had to go out and replicate the same flight. That's the amazing part of the story. Tim never gives up, and he's an amazing mentor and pilot. And he has a new ship, and it's on the field. He'll actually be flying tomorrow. If anybody wants to come out and watch that, it's pretty cool. On July 21st, Dane, he's a line crew member. He just finished his freshman year at Middlebury. He's working on his private pilot certificate this year in gliders, and he's a traveler. Before COVID, he lived in India in his junior year of high school, and he also built a home-built teardrop camper and then just drove it around the country, exploring all sorts of strange places and cool people and interesting experiences. He will have his camper here at the airport, so if you can attend this of the summer series on July 21st in person, he's going to have it all spiffed up and ready to go for inspection. It's really a cool thing. And on July 28th, John Tracy, who's our tow pilot and an instructor, and we're calling him on injured reserve at the moment. He's lived a very interesting and full life. He's going to share stories of his experiences and lessons learned over the years. This guy's done it all. John's my brother from another mother, and he's had a very interesting life. And then Silas, on August 11th, Silas, who's a line crew member, he started with us pretty young. He's starting Purdue University in the fall. He's working on his private pilot glider certificate. He would have had it last summer if it wasn't for COVID. So instead, he went forward and he got his power certificate during COVID. And he is a true aviation addict. He will share stories from his trips to the Oshkosh fly-in, as well as when he went to visit Purdue, he rented a Cessna 150 and flew to Purdue. A lot of lessons were learned, or 152 maybe, but it was a lot of lessons were learned. He had a great experience, and Silas will be fun to listen to. And then last but not least, David Tanzer on August 18th, he's going to tell us about his adventures in ballooning, including taking a balloon to 21,000 feet, which I either A, frankly don't believe, or B, think is completely crazy. But it was a very concerted effort with a lot of planning and coordination and a lot of resources. And David has a new balloon component coming. There's the envelope, he tells me, is the top part, which is like the balloon, but he's got a two-seater kind of like hang below, like lawn chairs kind of thing coming. So we're very excited. We're going to be very happy to see that at the airport, and maybe he'll get me up in it if there's champagne at the end. So talking about the future, you know, some of these things are you know, buzzwords in today's society. But I think that you all know me and know that I'm very seriously engaged with Sugarbush, and I really see this as a paying it forward. I think we have to think about ourselves as community. You know, whether you're alumni, whether you've been here, whether you're young, whether you just got here, we're all part of this community together. And I don't look at any of us and all of the people I've talked to in the boards and the positions, we don't look at this as ownership. We look at this as stewardship. We want to be able to pass this airport along and the soaring operation and all the great stuff that we're doing here We want to pass that forward to the younger generation who's now coming up. Out of those 28 something youth members, and out of those 5 or 7 or 8 young professionals, we want this airport to be here for you. A lot of people did that in the past. They made this possible a lot of different ways. So we want to do that. In order to do that, we need to be sustainable, not just sustainably economically, but we have to look at the future of sustainability and see what we can do to lead the edge and to capture that market to be sustainable. One of my dreams is to partner with a big company like Beta Technologies or somebody like that and have an electric tow plane. And before you laugh, Alex is working on a motor that's 400 horsepower, derated down to 300 horsepower, and it weighs less than a Lycoming 0360 engine. How cool if we could wean ourselves off of the 100 low lead and have a quieter tow plane that we can charge here at the airport or change the batteries out in the future. That may not happen in my lifetime, but let's set the path to make that happen. Viability, again, that goes back to the economics, being part of our larger community. Our strength is which are people, and attracting, recruiting, retaining quality instructors and quality people and quality line crew, quality members, quality students. That they said quality a lot there, but attracting a really good group of people, that's our real strength. Adaptability. Nobody could have predicted 20 years ago what this year would look like for Sugarbush Soaring, really. You could maybe see some trends and take some data and figure some stuff out, but we have to create an opportunity for the future to be adaptable to meet the challenges of the time that's ahead of it. One of the things is that this airport is zoned. Mindy and his crew and Granite Intersection was very careful to have this property zoned in a very unique way, so we could help protect the airport for the future. So they didn't know the future, but they're able to future proof to some degree the best they could with the knowledge that they had. And I take that as the model going into the future, is that we have to have the ability to create opportunities for the next group that comes along to be able to adapt and change, but also to survive in a very challenging environment. I want to thank you all for attending. I didn't want to keep talking for hours and hours. I want to turn it back. I'm going to stop sharing the screen. I have to give full credit for this photo, which is one of my favorites. I don't remember who took it.